Hey, how was Wednesday in the markets today?
Hi, Scott.
That
Excuse me.
sounds like a loaded question.
Excuse me. Thank you for the intro. Very good and very
Pleasure.
for us to know. Excuse me for my cough. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Brad, Scott, Barry, it's going to be a Q&A for the ages. Brad, have I ever said, I've said this is going to be the best Q&A often, and I meant it every time I said it, but this one, Brad, is for the ages. I'm not sure if you're ready.
You're not sure if I'm ready? I'm ready.
I'm not sure if you're ready.
I'm so ready. Look, it was really interesting out there today.
Indeed it was. So Brad, before we tell everybody the amazing stuff that they're about to hear, and it's so important, let's make sure that everybody understands that all the information that Brad and I will be telling you about this monumentous occasion and thing that happened today and just where we are is only for educational and informational purposes only. If you want specific advice, please consult a registered investment advisor, which, as you know, because I said it here on this webinar, Trade Ideas is not. Brad, are you ready?
I'm sitting.
Let's do this. Okay, this is the Corona Q&A webinar, and ladies and gentlemen, stock market was kung flu fighting. Okay, I want to first say, Brad, to you, to Barry, Scott too, it was an honor. It's an honor to be here today. It's an honor to have participated with you all in what one could say is really a once-in-a-lifetime happening. It's very important. Let this sink in. You know, people in 1987, the day of the crash, you know, because that was a gigantic percentage move. I don't think we'll ever have a day like that, hopefully. But certainly, as Brad and I have mentioned before, on the point scale, Brad, we're off charts.
I mean, this is uncharted territory. I've been looking at these moves for a long time now, and haven't seen it.
So there's this beautiful, Brad, philosophical component where we, you and I, and you know, everybody on Team Trade Ideas, and everybody in this room can kind of look back and say, wow, we just, as a human, I'm paying attention. I'm noticing that. Aside from, of course, all the news-driven mania kind of stuff that you're hearing about the world pandemic, you are actually feeling it and seeing it in the stock market. There's so few people, Brad, in this grand scheme of things are able to perceive anything. You know, it's like when you're in this environment and you see what's happening, you of all people have a special sense to the ramifications and the magnification of how big this whole thing is, because you can feel the pain of the people who are losing their money. Would you not agree, Brad?
Absolutely. No, you can.
And because of that, you know, because of that feeling, right, you are developing some neural networks, meaning like ways you can process information that most people in their lifetime will never get. Okay, again, you're experiencing one of the greatest, and it needs to be said the greatest, because great also happens to be a describer of size. So you are seeing one of the greatest stock market moves possibly. See, I'm too young, Brad, for the great 29 crashes and all that stuff, right? But just in terms of volatility, I don't think there's ever been a market like this, which is amazing for who? You, us, people. This is what this is about. This is Laird Hamilton, Brad, on Jaws every single day. No jet ski support. It is so like, and as you guys know, if you know who Laird Hamilton is, he's the big wave surfer, and Jaws, I believe is somewhere by Hawaii, Brad? Is that where that is?
Bali, Hawaii, somewhere down there.
Well, somewhere. But anyway, it's a very big wave spot, okay? And the point is that we are in this now. Those of you who traded, you experienced this today. And Brad, you know what I love about this whole experience is I get to tie in last week's Q&A webinar. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Let's hear it. What do you
Let's
got?
do this. So look, last week, Brad, you and I were saying, look at that move in Carnival Corporation. That thing has been annihilated since 50. We were saying, Brad, last week.
Yeah, well, it hasn't found the bottom yet.
Well, but visually speaking, right, you can see exactly all the feelings that you have here. Because does this look oversold or what?
I mean, it looked oversold at 30. It looked oversold at 20. It looks oversold.
It looks oversold. This was last week, okay? And you guys were all saying the price is 22. We're going to discuss some of this math that you're about to see. Guys, I'm telling you, this is the best Q&A, best overall webinar you're ever going to get, ever. Okay, because it's going to teach you something. Okay, so here you're seeing Carnival Cruise Corp, which was already, by the way, Brad, reacting to the same news. You know, that there's a virus out there, people are going to take less cruises because they're worried about getting sick. I mean, this information has been known, by the way. Okay. So what a difference a week makes, Brad. Let's just all, can we all just take a look and inhale this information just for a second? So here I am at 20 talking to you guys on last Wednesday saying, man, if this is the rebound. Okay, so that was just a feel because even at 20, the move was so big. And Brad, this brings me to what one of our investors from our old corporation taught us. This is Mr.
What are you
Ben
doing?
Hyman. I'm giving him credit, where he said this amazing thing that has stood with me pretty much since then, because it also kind of sounds good. But remember what he said, Brad? He said the market will stay irrational longer than you will stay solvent.
Absolutely.
Listen to these words, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, if anything, this is, because you know, like we call these the Benisms. He was a very smart guy in the business that he was in. He was very good at what he did. Okay. And he's had this statement. He said, the market will stay irrational longer than you stay solvent. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, he had been in the business since Lincoln was a cadet.
Also one of his Benisms, correct, since Lincoln was a cadet. But ladies and gentlemen, look at what I'm trying to show you here, okay? You must not be emotional about it, okay? Because your emotions will fool you. You have to execute the same game plan, which is do not take big losers. Because this is how you get wiped out if you are taking a big loser. There's never been more panic, you know, in terms of people's overall portfolio than there is right now. So you are seeing, I mean, this could go down to 4.5 tomorrow. And I mean, I'm not saying that it will, I'm just saying it could, with the way the market is so overly volatile right now.
Yes.
It's a once in a lifetime volatility. What does this mean? Let's think about that. Well, that means that, by the way, you know, if you are able to purchase something long term, this is maybe, and again, if you have that kind of an approach to it, it's probably some of the best time to ever do it, unless you are not believing in Western civilization surviving, which then, I mean, you shouldn't be trading. But we're trying to, you know, be more optimistic, more positive. We think we're going to get through this, no problem. And if that is the case, look at this. I mean, number one, the politicians have already said that they're going to bail out the airlines and the cruise lines. So this is a known. But just like I had said before, at 40, it was already known the virus was out. So you can't, you know, again, this is something where risk management, like I said before, has to come into play. Okay.
Or good old-fashioned shorting.
Right. Well, I'm going to get to that too. I mean, by the way, trade ideas, you know, let's move on to the next slide. Because I'm trying to kind of showcase to you guys, this is a very important thing to look back. Okay, I want to go one more time. Here it is. Because again, just think about that. Brad, remember the term called the hard right edge? Whenever you're at the right edge, you think this is it. But then, you know, you get a little perspective and like, whoa, I was just right there. Boom, boom. I mean, just like how you keep wondering how many days in a row it will go longer than you think. Okay. This is why, again, risk management is key, but imagine
it will find a bottom. They will find a bottom, and you're going to need to have a tool to tell you what to be buying when it does.
Correct. You're going to see volatile shifts. And this is where trade ideas comes in. What do I mean, Brad, by the fact that the weaponized stock market? Do you know what I mean? See, this I like to put you on the spot because you said Lincoln was a cadet. And tell me what that means to you, because the investors here, the people who are trying to make some sense out of it, I think they need to know.
I don't know. I mean, you made this slide. I didn't, so I'm sure you had your own idea. But when I think of a weaponized stock market, I think there are items, symbols, stocks out there that could really hurt you, that could really damage you. You need to be prepared. You need to know what stocks you should be entering in, and you need to have good risk management in the process. I don't know where you were going with it, but that's kind of my thought.
Okay. I like well, everything you said is absolutely true, but I have a slightly different take on it today. And hear me out. And again, this is important for everybody. Okay. We are all under the assumption that the stock market is a very rational entity, that, you know, it processes data and corporations and makes projections and blah, 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 blah. It's almost as if all of a sudden everybody realized that that shit's bullshit. This is an emotional mess. You see what I'm saying? Weaponized. So because right now the stock market isn't reacting to fundamentals. Fundamentals are actually very good, and as you know, the death rates are really small compared to other things. But that's what makes you realize that there's a fear element in play. And if you step back a little bit, you see that that's part of what I meant, Brad, is the weaponization. In other words, that instead of being a rational discount mechanism, which is kind of what you and I would learn in economics class, right? We are in an emotional, weaponized discounting mechanism where things are being thrown away, which were the Carnival cruise ship, you know, and there it goes again. What if you were deciding that you're going to accumulate something like this? Well, then there's that two components, right? The volatility is so big, you have to size yourself the right way to be able to take advantage of it.
And use stops just so that, you know, in case you get distracted and in case everything just kind of turns around, then you're prepared.
And this is where we come in. Okay, once again, how do you ensure that you make the fewest mistakes, Brad? Well, you use the most safety mechanisms that you can. And for us, that is creating a stop order at the same time as your buy order automatically. We have this graphically, we have this in a right-click menu, but the idea here is we can just simply help you by you dragging and dropping where you want the buy order, and as soon as you do, the sell order is done for you automatically. That innovation alone, Brad, saves you in an environment like this. Because should something go against you, and you know that it will, because we're all emotional, we make mistakes, we think we see something, but we have to know that we can be wrong for whatever reason. So this reduces your risk of getting stuck. And by the way, Brad, as you and I both know, being stuck is much more of an emotional thing even than like a technical thing. You know what I mean? It's like you get like these attachments to stuff, and this is the best of the best this happens to, which is why I want people to understand this in today's Q&A, that in an environment where you have right now in the stock market, you are so not playing around. I mean, this is as turbulent a waters, as big a waves as you get, and you better have the best surfboard. If you're playing, if you're planning on going out, you better have the best surfboard.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a bad time to explore the simulated trading just so that you can actually see what the volatility does to the dollar when you're out there inside.
Right. And talk about learning that, right? Imagine if you're in sim mode right now and this is your first taste where you yourself are like, well, it's a little too crazy for me to like put real money in right now, but I want to feel what it's like. How much do the dollars move so that, when it kind of gets back to normal, you even have something to relate to. That's such a powerful learning mechanism, Brad. This is, again, all stuff that you and I and Barry never, ever, ever had. We had to do it the hard way, and the hard way is through hard knocks, bloody noses. There is no other way to learn. You and I both know this. So this aids you so much, especially in the kind of market that we are now. And this is what I'm saying. Why I put the sword up there, why I was talking about you better bring the right weaponry to a gunfight, you know what I mean? And right now we're in pure gunfight territory in the stock market, where, by the way, that also means something else. It means possibly like once in a lifetime opportunities. Look at what was going on here. I mean, again, I notice this channel. This just speaks to why we're such a powerful player in this space, right? We have this customized channel for you that even as the market was getting killed, so to speak, Brad, what could you be doing here?
Well, there are always plays out there, right? Even when the market's getting crushed, there are stocks that are winning. And yeah, this is a great way to pull those up.
I mean, it's just
Barry was talking a lot about WTRH today.
Right. And what were they saying? Do you remember? Should I look at the news?
Well, I think they were saying this is a good bullish opportunity right now in the midst of a huge market decline.
Yeah. And again, look at these percentages. I mean, just imagine yourself, because you kind of have to visualize it too. This is like all the best golfers, right? But you have to imagine yourself catching these. I mean, Blue Apron was a very interesting one because you and I were trading Grubhub a couple of days before, and Grubhub did not, I mean, it ran not like Blue Apron did, but it's interesting. Look at these moves, Brad. We're talking like 33% seems like it's nothing right now. Brad and I have been doing this, like I said, and Brad, you came in like 98, right?
Yeah, it was 98.
So 97 and 98 was very volatile. Also, like you had the Russian default or some BS like that. And again, at the time, it felt maybe similar to this, but now as we look in retrospect, we're like, nothing like this has ever happened before. Okay. So think about that for a minute. Let me just put this up real quick. Look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I love being, Brad, what's kind of cool is being able to sort of like quickly dive into these views, right? So that you can kind of see, well, so going back to 2017, let's go even further. Where are we at here? So we're now in 2016. We wiped out 2017, 2016 territory, and it took us just like 3 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks to remove 3 or more.
To remove a lot of hard work, right?
Exactly. So the pain is completely real. Understand where you're at, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. So this move, Brad, you remember you and I, we participated in this one. We thought this move is the move we're having now. I mean, you and I both know we're there. We were like, this ever happened before? And then this happened, that turnaround. And look at the run after that. Imagine if you caught that. I mean, there were some trades in there where if you were riding it, well, you wouldn't have had to get out until this moving average cross or something to that effect. Ladies and gentlemen, the key here for you to realize, right, is this isn't just pain, it's also opportunity. Look at the volatility, look at these moves. You are not, Brad, consider the speed differential here, right? So what took somebody 4 years was wiped away in 3. The speed, right? I mean, the incredible speed that somebody who was short was accumulating wealth. I mean, just think about that, right? So there, you don't always, and there were some people short.
For sure. Yeah.
So I'm trying to tell you guys, if you are any kind of a longer term investor, there could be some incredible once in a lifetime opportunities happening right now. This is like if you were ever going to get into something, and again, only with proper sizing and positioning and whatever, but this is the kind of time where you try to see if you can get into something. Brad, would you say that that is or isn't a rational kind of high level definitional state of where we're at?
Yeah, I mean, it's rational. I mean, that's a rational way to look at it for sure.
Right. We don't know. I mean, there could be more. By all means, there could be more downside. But again, I'm just saying that having, and we do have the ability to discern from past experiences. So look, Brad, like there was kind of a big one over here, right? Boom. But I'm sure like when this was happening, so this looked very similar, you know, these two right here, right? And then even, oh, maybe over here where you're like, oh no, I fell for it, and then it reversed very, very strongly. Again, but this was a pretty big move, kind of like what you see here, but then this thing was just, there was nothing here, no attempt.
But the confusion, right? The gapping down 1,000 points, the gapping up 1,000, gapping down 2. I mean, these are very, very, very large moves.
Very, very large moves. And again, an immense amount of emotions, ladies and gentlemen. So when you see this level of emotions in the stock market, for an astute investor, Brad, this is the time where you are able to take advantage of things. So when Brad and I were learning how to trade, there was something called the SO system, and that system let us take advantage of things that other Brad investors just didn't know how to do. You know, like how we learned that thing where you sows in and select net out. Things that just make no sense for anybody who hasn't been there. But mentally, you can picture it, you can see it, you know exactly why it worked. You know? And this is kind of that acquired skill happening right now, metaphorically in the market. It's a very unique opportunity for people to experience what is happening right now. There's never really a better time to be looking at trade ideas data than right now and feeding your eyes with like the neuron synapses fire as you take advantage and take a gander at these kinds of moves and think to yourself, okay, that the opportunities are just immense, because we've already talked about the fact that we're dealing with percentage moves here, like 481. Brad, are you?
I mean, that one traded the whole way. That's just such a big move.
I mean, so by the way, that's bigger than the fall of the Dow, and this is happening like one day. Guys, is there anything? I mean, Brad, how many times have I said this is not real estate? This is not whatever else that you do from. This is the fastest way to accumulate wealth, and of course, you can lose it as well. But
yeah, well, it's the ultimate in liquidity, right? You're not stuck with it. You're not trapped with it. You do have the ability to exit your initial idea at any time you want, even reverse that idea. So yeah, you're never trapped here.
And you can kind of also start to see, right, what's happening, right? So silver, okay, so maybe they're like, okay, wow, could they switch back to a precious metal standard? You know, we've heard stuff about that. So look at the kind of bottoming play. Can you just imagine, Brad? I don't have to imagine. I'm going to put once again, alert. This looks amazing. So this is how it's done. It's kind of just a simple process, visual recognition. And I think I've had another one before. Let me zoom in what I want to hear. Okay, I have one even higher. So Brad, I thought that it was already starting, but here it had kind of a little bit of a longer term turnaround. The first one in a long time. I like that. It's a nice move right there. And on a little bit of volume, nothing crazy. So this is, again, where, unlike some of the other stuff, you can find opportunities in different types of feel zones through these channels that are pre-designed by myself, Brad, and a lot of the other experts at Trade Ideas to kind of already take care of the high-level task of trying to figure out how to create your workspace. This is valet workspace, Brad, isn't it? Don't you know how nice it is to have a valet instead of like trying to?
It's a good way to put it. I mean, really, the channels are all really kind of different. They highlight different features of the software. The windows are put together and configured, like you said, by us, and so there are a lot of nuances to that. Just a lot of good stuff, and the AI that we have in there that we're doing a lot of things that allow you as a trader to determine or to see what's going on in the market. We're offering you ideas through these windows. We're presenting trading ideas through our AI. We have all these windows that let you hunt to find different stocks in similar sectors or that are behaving in similar fashion. So just a lot of tools to find that. And so, yeah, as Dan was saying earlier, I think it's a great idea to start familiarizing yourself with this and looking at the stocks that are out there. And if you hadn't participated before, this is a great time to really see how these moves have taken place and use our simulator.
I think you're going to find yourselves in the most engaged mentally. Like, well, first of all, let's all of us know that, especially Brad, since what's not there anymore, sports. There's no more sports right now. The entertainment's really slowing down.
Concerts.
Right, no concerts unless you want to watch them in their own house. But the market is on every day, and it's mentally stimulating, and it's arguably in some of that rarefied territory where the opportunities are as good as they're ever going to be ever in the stock market, right? And that's all I can say. How are we on the questions, by the way?
I think we're caught up. There is one question when we get to the AI about our exit reasons, our conservative exit reasons, but I think that's the only one that has gone unanswered yet.
Right, so we have an artificial intelligence that's kind of looking at the market statistically, and right now it's gulping that data, learning from this experience just like you and I would, except well, we do it emotionally and visually, it does it mathematically. And
it's much more timid than normal right now, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, totally, because the market is just so volatile that statistically the software understands that this is not where you press, because you can just get kind of, as I mentioned before, the metaphor of the big waves. If you get kind of thrown around in a big wave, it can hurt you more. So the software helps you feel things better. Notice once again, Brad, it goes both ways. So it was trying to kind of pick a little bit of a bottom here and see what happens. It does that. You never know.
Yeah. So let me take Sky's question while you're here on this particular page. So
Okay.
We provide, with respect to the AI, we're providing a variety of different data points with respect to profitability. We provide a conservative profit, a moderate profit, and an aggressive profit. So in real brief summary, like the conservative profit has a time frame to it. It's all of these strategies are optimized with a time frame, whether it's an hour or two or something like that. And so that's what it's looking at. And when a stock gets timed out, when it has a timed exit, well, that just means it expired through the time frame that it was used to optimize. The profit save algorithm kicks in when a stock that was called here through the AI achieves a certain level of profitability and then starts pulling back. So it uses this profit save algorithm to either lock in profit or to stop it from going negative. And then we have a stop hit, which you see here, and that just, obviously it hit the stop or ran through the stop, and the expectation is that unless you're in the aggressive profit mode, that you're gonna go ahead and get out at that point. The aggressive profit mode doesn't look at stops at all, and it just hypothesizes that you're gonna be in that stock all the way to the end of the day. So it's giving you these three different profitability modes. There is one exit reason that didn't display today, and that would have been target hit. A lot of these strategies, not all of them, do have a target hit, a target value, and if it does hit that value in a certain time frame, it'll go ahead and give you that target hit reason. Well, this information right here is primarily used to let you know whether the market is running, continuing, having follow through, or whether there's so much volatility that a short-term trading opportunity turns out to be best. That's one of the ways to use the conservative, moderate, and aggressive profit fields that we have.
Right, and I think also there's a little bit of the self-explanatory too. You know, obviously, if you're always using the conservative, you might time it right, but you could potentially not take advantage of a bigger move. These are all things that you have to kind of assess as you're doing it. Like in today's kind of market, Brad, neither of us are surprised that the conservative mode works really well because, again, there's just so much volatility in either direction.
So there's a question here. Richard is looking to exclude Holly 2.0 through this list. And I think you should be able to right click in this grid that you're in right here on the strategy trades window and go to segment all the way at the bottom there. Actually, you can't right now. You're going to have two different windows open, which you can have a Holly Grail open and you can have a Holly Neo open. I can change that though, so look for it in a different version.
But it's almost what you're saying, because right there, it's excluded, but yeah. So again, we just dove into some of the more, again, higher level things, but at the end of the day, guys, you know, if you're looking, especially in what I like, Brad, about this one about explosive winners, right? We often don't speak about the simplicity of the fact that, again, there's so much already built-in stuff here, right? So if you're looking for things that are going to turn around, or if you're looking for things that are going, okay, this is a great way to do it regardless of what the market's doing, because it's going to find something. So you can always focus on whatever you want your upside to be, right? I guess it's the way I would describe it, but you really can dial it in. And you don't have to then overthink about, well, are you going to miss the thing that's happening? No, you're not. Ever. I mean, that's one way to do it. And of course, we've kind of broken it up into lots of neat little other examples. Again, there's a little bit more specific in some of them. Also, again, they kind of, well, again, they're very specifically designed to see certain types of things. And these are where you're going to get some of these gigantic percentage gainers. And we're trying to help you catch these, you know, as they go. I mean, that's always the name of the game. And Brad, you know what I like? I like seeing this. Number one, I mean, you could just think about what was going on at like 39 cents and somebody was able to catch that and ride it. Insane percentages. I mean, of course, all the way up to and Brad, what did you say? What do you know the news? Okay, the news was that it was just way oversold or something, right? Or did they?
I don't know the news. I know that Barry was talking about it in the room, and so that's
where Barry. Okay, got it. Sorry, I'm sure Barry probably.
And this was the thing that's unique about it. So look, you can see this particular symbol on a lot of different windows because something was really specific in this stock. If you look at the relative volume, the amount of volume moving through it today was so abnormal that it just met a lot of these different scans, because that's one of the things that Trade Ideas is really good at, and that's finding things that have very unusual behavior, whether it's price action or volume, you know, or something like that.
And you're always going to be on this channel, and just like the other explosive winners.
Yeah, let me wait. One thing I totally spaced where I was going, but on the go to Barry's windows, because it's a little bit different. So go to Barry's windows channel right here, and the thing that's different about these particular windows here is they're working off of a curated list, and every week Barry is compiling. Well, at the end of every day, he's going through he's doing his homework. He's going through what he traded and what moved, and he's creating a watch list, if you will, and this is being updated all the time. And so these windows are looking specifically to that watch list, and when something happens on that list, it's then going to get triggered here. And that was one of the windows. And so the thing that's nice about this, it's a little different than a lot of the other channels that we have. This is you're only going to see a handful of symbols that are generated here on this particular channel, and these are all in play. So go to the trading room and see how he trades.
I have to say, I got to give Barry credit for this ARCB. Look at that move. And this is the daily in the last 3 days, right? So different from the market.
Yep.
But you can kind of confirm it makes sense we're in. So here's a company that naturally will be taking advantage of it. And that's here, there, while we are in a very emotional environment, we do have these things that actually make sense, right? Because we know what's happening with the trucking, and that the demand to some extent is increasing because there's so the supply chain is such a critical component of maintaining a civil environment without unrest, where people are looting and whatever. And the truckers that's what makes it happen. So that's the other really nice component of being able to put it together, where it isn't just always momentum or something else, or where you're like, I wonder why this is happening. Sometimes it just also happens to make sense. And there's a beautiful thing, and I love that it's on Barry's Windows. So let's go back to the PowerPoint, Brad, and really just kind of dive in to the fact that Barry's trading room is available to anyone who's perusing trade ideas. It's a great resource. He's there all the time, managing the whole room and making sure that all the questions are answered. And it's a group of very good people who have been with us in our technology for quite a long time and have different levels of expertise in different components of the trading art. And they all trade different things and communicate with one another. So it's a very nice meritocracy of the best coming up forward and giving you a stream of information that's very well received. You can always go there through trade-ideas.com/trading room. Okay. We have daily support sessions, weekdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And if you want to get onto that, go to trade-ideas.com/live. That again is on the weekdays. Very helpful, very easy to get questions answered. And our curriculum is, bar none. We're always working to help you get through the learning curve of the technology and get you to using more and more and getting more alpha out of it. We are, of course, a subscription-based service. This is how much we charge on a daily basis, but our subscriptions are monthly and yearly. So you can see what it is for the premium versus the standard. You can check it out on our website. And of course, there is a promo code, SPRINGFRESH, 15% off your first month for a year of trade ideas. Nothing like us on the market, really. You guys tune in, you'll get more information. We've been talking about like a lot of our ebooks, Brad, and before we'd had this one about what happens after you don't get to buy the dip. Well, you just live through it, and you're living through it right now. This is the don't buy the dip territory right now, okay? So we've been talking about this forever because luckily we have traders, and myself and Brad, we've all lived through these things before, and this is certainly a very unique one. And any trader will tell you, I doubt they've seen anything like this before, but this is where you want to be with this technology and getting this information flow. Check out our podcast, myself, lots of guests. Do a search on your local phone search, podcast search engine. You should be able to find us, no problem. We are very, very good at providing you different types of information for different things. And the idea is that you don't have to be overwhelmed. You can kind of take it as the different bits. We've talked about the book about not just only buying on the effing dip. Well, now we have one about earnings when things really reflect more of a fundamental, which by the way, bro, that typically happens after moves like this. People start trying to figure out what are the numbers. I know I didn't care about the numbers yesterday. But
Well, a good one to look at is who has cash.
that's right. Who's got cash? It's a very good one, Brad. I like it. And we have that in the earnings search engine, and you can easily do that. So we're very easy to get a hold of. We're on social media at Trade Ideas, at Quanbot, at Today Trader. Please like us on Facebook. And of course, feel free to call us or shoot us an email at info@trade-ideas.com. Brad, are we all caught up? Scott, I think we're pretty good.
We're all caught up here.
Yeah, sounds good. Just a reminder, the recording will be up later on tonight or tomorrow. You get an email from GoToWebinar tomorrow with a link to the playlist where you can find that. So catch anything you miss. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.